Welcome to this video. In this video, we will revise the key concepts of arithmetic progression, and we'll also look at the common kind of questions that you get in the examination, so the SLC examination. First, let's look at what is arithmetic progression. What is arithmetic progression? A sequence of numbers such that the difference between the consecutive terms is constant. So it's a sequence of number. What kind of number? Something like this. What is the property? The difference between consecutive terms. Consecutive terms means neighboring terms, like 5 and 7 are consecutive terms, 7 and 9 are consecutive terms, 9 and 11 are consecutive terms. The difference between them, that means the difference between 5 and 7, which is 2, 7 and 9, which is 2, 9 and 11, which is 2, that is constant. Okay, so that is an arithmetic progression. If you have a sequence of numbers like this, where the difference between consecutive numbers is the same, then it is an arithmetic progression. Okay, so that's arithmetic progression. Now let's go to the next step. In arithmetic progression, we use the terms A and D. We use the terms A and D. What is A? A is the first term. So we use the letter A to denote the first term of the arithmetic progression. Similarly, we use the letter D to denote the common difference. So when somebody says A, it is the first term. When somebody says D, it's the difference, the difference between consecutive terms. What is a general form of an arithmetic progression? The general form. So now that we know what is A and D, we can actually write an arithmetic progression as A plus D, A plus 2D, A plus 3D, and so on. Why this is a general form? So from the definition, we know that the difference between neighboring terms is D, correct? So that means you can get the second term by adding D to the first term, which is A plus D. You can get the third term by adding D to the second term, which is A plus 2D, and so on. This is called general form of arithmetic progression. Now let's look at how do we find the nth term. So if you have an nth term of an arithmetic progression, there is a formula to find it. You can actually find it using a formula. So that formula is given by an, which is nth term, equals to A plus n minus 1 D. The formula is A equals A plus n minus 1 D. So using this formula, you can find the nth term of arithmetic progression. The next formula is how do you find the sum of the first n terms? If somebody tells you n terms, so n could be 1, 2, 3, 4, doesn't matter, right? It could be as many terms as is available in the arithmetic progression. How do you find sum of the first n terms? So the formula for that is S of n. So we denote the sum as S of n. That is equal to n divided by 2, where n happens to be the number of terms. 2 times A is the first term, plus n minus 1 D. What is n minus 1 D? N is again the number of terms, and D is the common difference. This is the formula. Now, sometimes you may be just given the last term. So you may be given the first term and the last term, in which case you can easily find the sum as S of n equals n divided by 2, where n is the number of terms, A is the first term, and L is the last term. So this is another way to find sum of n terms. These are the key important formulas, okay? So the nth term formula and sum of first n terms formula is very important formula for arithmetic progression. Now let's look at what kind of questions we normally get in 10th standard examination. Okay, so we look at most common questions, we look at how to solve them, and we look at all the questions in the sense that sometimes you get 5-mark question, but almost every time you get 1, 2, 3, 4-mark questions from arithmetic progression. So we look at the 2021 paper. We'll also look at the previous papers. So let's look at the 1-mark question. Okay, what kind of question do you get for 1 mark? The most common question that you get for 1 mark is they'll give you an expression like this where a of n equals 3n minus 2. So they'll give you an equation for the nth term, and then either they'll ask you to find the nth term. So they'll say go find the second term or third term or fourth term. Or they'll ask you to go find the common difference. They'll say go find the difference between the consecutive terms of an arithmetic progression. So this is very, very common 1 mark question. Let's look at 2021 model paper 1 mark question. They've asked, in an arithmetic progression, if a of n equals 3n minus 2, find the second term of the progression. So you're supposed to substitute the value of 2, which means 3 times 2 minus 2, which is 6 minus 2, which is 4. But that's how you're supposed to solve this problem. It's an easy 1 mark question. It's very, very common. Almost every year you get this question. Okay. How do you solve such a problem? To find the nth term, so as I saw in the example, to find the nth term, we substitute the value of n in the equation given. So whatever is the equation that you are given, if they want you to find the second term, you just substitute the value. And how do you find the common difference? We just find a few terms. So first term, second term, third term, fourth term, you find a few terms like that. And then you find the difference between consecutive terms, right? You just find difference between second and first, third and second, fourth and third, and so on. This is how you solve the 1 mark question problem. Let's look at 2 mark questions. Okay, what kind of questions do you get? A typical 2 mark question, you're given an arithmetic progression. Okay, so either you're given a progression itself or you're told what is the first term and the common difference. And you're supposed to find the nth term, or you're supposed to find the sum of the first 10 terms. This is usually formula substitution problem. It's very common. Let's look at an example. So in 21 model paper, we have told find the sum of the first 20 terms of an arithmetic progression 3, 8, 13 using the formula. So this is a 2 mark question. How do you solve it? First, we find the first term and the common difference. So once you're given an arithmetic progression, you find the first term and the common difference. First term is the first term. Common difference, you look at the consecutive terms, find the difference, and that'll tell you the d. So you find the value of a and d. And then you're given the formula, right? So if you remember the formula of nth term or sum of n terms, you use that formula and substitute and get the answer. This is again very common. And you can easily get 2 marks question as long as you remember the formula and substitute it properly and simplify it. Now let's look at the 3, 4, 5 mark questions. They're quite similar in what they ask. Depending on the complexity, how difficult the problem is, either it's 3, 4 or 5 mark question. So what do they typically ask? They give relationship between 2 terms. So they give you a relationship between 2 terms. For example, in this case, they are saying that the 9th term is 3 times the 3rd term plus 2. So they'll give you a relationship like this, but it will be in text. And they may also give you a sum of a few terms. They might say sum of the first 3 terms is 12, or sum of the last 3 terms is 318, and so on. Or they might give you one of the terms. So they might say, okay, A3 is 8. What are you supposed to find? Either you'll be asked to find the entire arithmetic progression, which means you have to find a and d. You might be asked to find nth term, or you might be asked to find sum of n terms. Let's see how to solve this problem. Okay. Let's look at an example. Sum of the first 7 terms of an arithmetic progression is 140. Sum of the next 7 terms in arithmetic progression is 385. We are supposed to find the progression. So this is a 21 model paper 4 mark question. How do you solve this? To solve this, we have to form a pair of linear equations. So you pick any of the 2, right? So for example, if you are given relationship between 2 terms, you get one equation with a and d as variable. You've been given a sum of few terms. Using that also, you can find an equation with a and d as variable. So you find 2 such equations, and then you solve for a and d. So once you solve for A and D, you get the answer. So this is how you solve the problem. So in this video, we looked at the common concepts of arithmetic progression. We looked at the nth term formula. We looked at the sum of n terms formula. And we looked at what are the questions that you get in exam. 1 mark question, 2 mark question, 3, 4, 5 mark questions. So we also looked at how to solve them. Now for detailed solutions, there are other videos in this channel. You take a look at them. This serves as a refresher. So you can use this video to refresh yourself as to what is that you need to remember and what kind of questions you might get in the exam. Hopefully you found this useful. Thanks for watching this video. We'll come back to you with another video soon. Till then, bye.